Alright, what's up? Here I am, sitting in my room, and honestly it's a bit of a mess. I'm not the tidiest individual. I'm not gonna say that that's just like, I'm not gonna claim that as an identity or anything like that, but I'll say I'm definitely not the cleanest, most tidiest individual, and sometimes that's okay. I do think it's important to take care of your space. I do think it's important to clean up after yourself, absolutely. But sometimes life gets busy. Sometimes you're running around doing a whole bunch of stuff, and it's hard to keep up, really. And so, I am documenting my life. Basically, is what I'm doing. I have not checked to see if this video is recording properly. Last time I was recording, my mic wasn't working, but it's definitely on and recording. The question is the video running properly? Is the lighting appropriate? I don't know. Does it matter? I don't know. We'll see, right? But yeah, I'm documenting my life, and there was one time in probably like 2018 or 2019, my buddy had a demon in him. True story. And he was encouraged to go to a church and have it basically cast out of him is kind of the thing. And I'm gonna just say what happened. And I'm just telling you this story because there's a meaning to where I'm getting at with it. And so take everything with a grain of salt. We say he had a demon in him, very possible. Is that 100? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not a prophet or a whatever, a spiritual genius or whatever it is. But here's what I will say. I lived at this guy's house for a while. We were really close friends, and there would be like just weird demonic stuff that would happen all the time. Nighttime comes around, and we'd all be sleeping, and then his mom would like be in a room or whatever, but she'd feel like this really cold breeze, and she'd go check the front door, and it'd be wide open. And she'd be like, "What the heck? Why is the door wide open?" She'd shut it, lock it, and then wake up again like a little while later, and it'd be open again, right? So weird things like that. And then I think it was either that same time or at a different time or whatever, she woke up and there was like these photos on a shelf of their grandparents and all that, and they were all like just face down and stuff, just random weird stuff. There was another time where a buddy of mine, so this guy that I was staying with, we were just standing there talking, and then there was this moment where he kind of looked over my shoulder, and he just froze and freaked out and started crying and sat on the couch and stuff. And he said he saw this like head pop out from behind the fridge. All this really weird stuff. So he and I go to this church in Toronto. So we were living in St. Catharines, which is just outside Niagara Falls, or Thorold actually is where we were staying. Thorold, just outside Niagara Falls, and we drove to Toronto to go to this church called the Church of the Supernatural. And this guy got prayed over. Dude's eyes did some rolling back type activities, fell on the ground, some tongues were spoken, and all this sort of stuff. Just wild stuff. Again, I'm just telling you what happened. And then he's on the ground, and I grew up in a Church of Christ, very like conservative, I guess you could say, maybe, in our way of worship. Like, we sang hymns. Guitars and instruments was a sin, which is incredibly ironic considering I make music, which I think is just really funny. But that was it. Yeah, it was very like suit and tie kind of type energy there. So that's what I grew up in. There was none of this like shouting and doing hallelujahs and all that stuff, especially like even like speaking in tongues and stuff. That was just very like, oh, that doesn't happen and stuff. And again, I'm not saying I'm here or there. I'm just giving you the facts, right? And so what ends up happening is all this stuff's going on, and I'm just not sure about it. I'm just like, all right, this is kind of a lot. It's kind of much. I'm just not sure if this is like, if he's kind of acting or whatever it is. I'm not sure. But what happened was afterwards, we went into this back room, and the preacher, or whatever you want to call him, I don't know if that's his title. I apologize if I got it wrong, but the preacher, we went into this back room, and he was going to prophesy over us. And I was like, all right, let's kind of see what happens or whatever. Like and I'm a preacher's kid too, so I just was like, I'm just not sure about a lot of that stuff at that time. And he's like, I'm going to prophesy over you, and it's okay. I said, okay. And he started with the other guy, my buddy. And I'm not naming names because it's just, I don't know if that wants to be kept private and stuff. So I'm just saying my buddy, right? And so he puts his hand on my buddy's knee, and he tells him, you are going to, he said something about, I see travel and like celebrity type status and money and private jets and all this sort of stuff. And I'm thinking, all right, like that sounds pretty cool. I'd be down for some of that. Like, I hope he says something like that to me, because that's kind of like, I was very materialistic at that time. And he goes, puts his hand on me, and tear falls out of his eyeball. And he says, God is going to use you in ways that you couldn't even imagine possible. And I've never forgotten that. I remember that moment thinking, I want the private jets and the fame and stuff or whatever that he gave to or he prophesied over the other guy. Like, that'd be really cool for me or whatever, but God's going to use me. And like, it's incredibly vague. Like, what does that even mean? Right. But it's crazy because in the last 5 years, I feel like God has already been using me in ways that I couldn't even imagine possible. Like when I moved to Alberta, which is in Canada, if you don't know that, if you aren't sure. When I moved to Alberta, Edmonton specifically, I was just in a really bad spot when I first got out here. Like, I moved out here really to just reset my whole life, and so I was working at a restaurant in the kitchen, which was a blessing from the Lord because it was just something that I could do to earn some money, get out of debt, and then, I was in a rough spot, but then a year later, get a job working at a homeless shelter, and that job, I worked that for about 4 years, and the amount of stories that I have about that place, man, and lives that had been impacted and changed and stuff there, the culture of that place I think the Lord really worked through me there. And then I went from there, and now I'm working in a group home with some boys, right? And I don't know what God has planned in this position, this season of life here, but I have jumped into many different, opportunities and different things and tried a lot of stuff. But the music thing has always just been deep in my heart of like, no, you got to keep on making music. You got to, put music out. You got great stuff that you've already made. And every time I make something, I'm excited about it. And I just think it's better than the last project. And so I believe that God is going to use the music thing to impact people. And it's going to continue to be a part of whatever this prophecy was that that God will use me in ways that I couldn't even imagine possible. I don't know what that's going to look like. I really don't know. We're going to see. I'm trying to be faithful every day with the music stuff, with my job, with everything that it is that I'm doing, and be faithful with it, make content, put stuff out. If I don't think it's going to do it, like, Dude, today I posted, oh my gosh, craziest thing. Posted on my Instagram. And if y'all don't follow me on Instagram, you can go follow me on Instagram, Luke Boland, LukeBolandd, 3 Ds at the end of that thing. But why? I don't know. There wasn't, I couldn't get with 1 D and I couldn't get with 2, and then 3 worked, right? Now, what was I even saying? That's right. Posted a video today. And I was this close to deleting it because it wasn't, I think I got in 30 minutes, I think 3 people liked it, which is like really weird. Like I've made posts that have done better than that. But especially thinking like I got over 1,000 followers, about 1,500 followers. And I'm just thinking like, bro, 3, like this must be a really bad video to not perform well at all, especially considering it was a reel and that gets pushed out to a whole other audience, just random people, right? So I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And I was almost going to delete it, left it up. And then I go back on my phone and I have a new follower and it says like, this person has followed you from the reel. And I was like, oh, interesting. Never happened before. I haven't been able to get on the ratio of like people that have seen it from the For You or from the Reels page, the Explore page or whatever, compared to the people that follow me already. It was always like a small percentage of people from Reels, right? More like 80% from my following. And so I've just had a hard time hitting that, like making it perform well on Reels. I couldn't figure it out. But it was weird because today it was like at 200 and then it hit 300 views and I was just like, okay, like let's see what it does. And it was around 300 views when I got that follower and I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Boom, another follower from the reel. And I start going, okay, it's doing something, like something's happening. And now it's at like 1,500 views and I gained another like 3-4 followers from it. So I gained probably 5-6 followers from a reel that I almost deleted. And so, but the point I'm getting at is that if I'm not being faithful with posting every day and just making content and putting stuff out there, experimenting, seeing what works, like I was watching a video today, this guy's talking about like, don't make content always for your followers, make content for people who don't know who you are. And when you make it for people who don't know who you are, you got to be very specific about who you are, what you're doing, and why they should pay any attention. And so I think the video said something like, if you like Christian country music, watch this. And I like throw a pillow at the camera and then it shifts into this other video, right? Which I thought was a genius idea until it started like not performing well, but now it's performing better. So I'm hopeful, right? And so anyways, my goal is just to be faithful with what God's given me right now. And I got a lot of songs I got to put out. So that's my mission right now, is keep on putting out songs and then start writing some more. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you watch this content, holy smokes, like I'm straight up just talking and yapping, and I hope that something in this added value, or I just wasted your time, and I know how valuable time is, and so I apologize if I wasted your time. But if you got something out of it, leave a comment, let me know, so I know that this is like, that I'm doing something helpful, right? So, anyways, God bless you, blessings. I'll see y'all in the next video.